Those who are saddled with the lower opinion of themselves cannot let anything go. There is a tightness and a tension to the self-destructive attitude that is as heavy cord binding the thought form to the self. Attempts to change the thought or let it go mean nothing. Welcome to the Reality Revolution. I am your host, Brian Scott. Today we're going to explore a very important topic through the Quo channelings. Quo, as we have said before, is a principle that's made up of several entities from several densities that offer amazing channeling and information regarding a variety of topics. Today we're going to delve into what Quo has to say about self-worth and self-image and confidence. This is an important subject, and I've had a lot of requests to talk about this on other episodes. I have a playlist on the channel called Self-Image, and we have several episodes that have delved into this, including the recent episode on changing self-image, as well as my hypnosis for improving confidence, as well as the reality transurfing episode on transurfing through the insecurity labyrinth. One of the major features of third density is our self-confidence, our self-worth, our image of ourselves is usually very low or warped or distorted, and it totally affects the way we see the world, the way we create our reality. And I can't wait to see what Quo has to say about it because it's very important. We begin with a channeling on November 6th, 2016. Today we'd like to explore the topic of self-worth. Can you elaborate on the role of self-worth on the seeker's path as well as the obstacle of self-doubt? For instance, what is it we are worthy of? What does it mean for us to have infinite worth? Any guidance in this area is appreciated. Jim Channeling says, I am Quo, and we are with this instrument. We are honored to be called to your group this day. We are well aware of the work each has done this weekend as you, too, seek to become channels of love and light through the impression and speaking of the words of your language. For each of you is a channel in this respect and in many others. The life you live, you channel. The love you give, you channel. The thoughts you have, you channel. There are many blessings upon you that have been given to you because you have drawn them to you as channels of love and light. The blessings of friends that are now gathered here, of those whom we have become close to throughout the years, the times and places, the families of each, the pursuits of your interests. All of these are blessings of the Father upon you. It is here upon the earth that you have taken residence at this time. It is not permanent residence, and your identity is not your true identity. It is but a small portion of that which is at your heart and within your soul, that which you could barely comprehend if it were all exposed to you at one time. You've come here within this third density illusion from a place within the Father's creation that is your true home, the world of the Spirit. There your true nature is free to express itself in infinite ways in seeking the serving the one Creator, as do you now here in your own way. You have chosen in order to enlarge upon that which is your destiny, your desire, your service through all time, to seek the one that is within you already, to seek the one that you have ever been, that you shall always be. There is no other choice, you see. You are of noble birth. A crown of the Father is already upon your head. Why would you take birth in such a limited illusion and risk forgetting, in fact, must needs forget all that you are? In this way, as you know from your studies within the circle of seeking, you may pursue greater understandings in shall we say, much more intensive fashion than is possible in your home density, for each of you here is a wanderer, and you well know that, or we could not speak it to you. You've come here to discover how to live a life of seeming limitation, and yet by various types of limitation that seem so real to you, can you truly expand your service to all the one Creator, your love for all for the one Creator. For when you forget that which you are within this illusion, then little by little you have the opportunity to discover small bits of the truth of yourself, and the mystery begins to unfold. And as you move in harmony with that mystery, you find there is much more to be discovered, for this takes a good deal of effort and what you call time. The effort over time produces a polarization in your consciousness that is considerable. It is achieved in a much smaller, shall we say, increment of time than possible in the higher densities. Believe it or not, my friends, it is hard for those in the higher densities to progress quickly, for they see the truth of the creation about them at all times. There is little doubt against which to push, little veiling to move out of the line of sight, as there's so much of it here in this illusion. The struggles you make to go beyond the seeming limitations of yourself are those which make you stronger in the spiritual sense, you see. That is what you are here to gain, a spiritual strength. A strength that will allow you to penetrate more of the illusion about you in third density, and to share what you have found in the spiritual journey, who you meet on the street, in a friend's house, at a gathering, wherever. You are beings of light. You, conscious seekers of truth, your light shines at all times, and you can direct it as you will. So as you look upon yourself in the larger sense of your origins, of your destiny, of your choices to be here, you are indeed beings of infinite worth. I laugh because it is so obvious to us, because we do not see the boundaries that are helpful to you, and yet difficult for you, and we understand this. We have sympathy for you. We too have traveled this trail. It is not easy, but it is valuable. It is powerful. It is full of opportunity to serve, to learn, to love, to become light. You are beings, as we have said, of infinite worth. And yet this can be the most difficult realization for you in this density of seeking. For you are behind a veil that, for the most part, shields you from a true understanding of who you are. And for all the world, it seems that who you will become must be based on what you have done. And therefore, if you should become worthy, it will be based upon deeds that render you worthy. It will be based upon accomplishments that render you worthy. And it will be based upon the recognition in the eyes of your fellow human beings that see you as worthy. Worthiness is something, therefore, worth striving for. Worthiness is the name for that which all strivings can be understood as belonging together in a single ultimate unity. So whether you strive for excellence in the job that you have undertaken, whether you strive for excellence in the performance of those services to family members, to loved ones, whether you strive for excellence in personal attainments of a more discreet fashion, shall we say, you strive ultimately to achieve a position which in your own estimation counts as worthiness. Now we would like to begin by calling your attention to the very nature of such striving. For one does not strive for what one feels one already has. One strives for that which is perhaps almost within the reach, but not quite. And inasmuch as your life is a perpetual striving, and that, my friends, we can assure you it is, it seems as if that for which you are striving, namely worthiness, is bound to be forever just beyond your reach. Now there can be a certain heaviness, a certain weightiness to the experience of the incarnation which you now enjoy, depending from the very fact that worthiness is the single most important thing for you to achieve. Indeed, in the area of achievement, worthiness is the single thing least likely finally to have been accomplished. Once again you strive, perhaps you attain, but having attained, it occurs to you that there is yet more to strive for. And so you strive again in the realization that your attainment has been yet inadequate, yet imperfect. And this imperfection can be worn as a mantle of shame, which can, if you let it, tinge the experience of your entire incarnation. We now turn, with the permission of this instrument, which we would like to say was reluctantly granted, to the example of this instrument's life, for it is true that this instrument has struggled mightily with the question of worthiness. It has been a long and arduous struggle, bravely undertaken, and we will say undertaken with what this instrument only reluctantly will call determination and a little bit of grace. And yet this instrument has spent an inordinate amount of time gazing into a sort of abyss, feeling that everything to which it has turned its hand, every goal, every project, every effort to aid those it loved beyond the measure of the love it had for itself, all this seems to have turned to dust. All this seems to have come to naught, to have been a vast, featureless plain of disappointment. And so for what has all the effort been spent? And so for what has worthiness been placed upon the altar of aspiration, only again and again to have the fondest hopes cruelly dashed, and the fondest expectation that there might sometime be the right action taken, that there sometime might be a redemption of all effort spent, that there might sometime be a sparing of the despair that can be the lot of one of whose attempts to serve seem to have come to naught. My friend, we will tell you what we now attempt to tell this instrument, that it is well not to look at the results of your doings in order to discover the true measure of your worth. It is well rather to realize that a life well spent spares no effort to be of service, but does not judge itself harshly for that service which seems to have gone awry. For it is in the opening of the heart and the giving from the very depths of the most precious resources one can bring up to offer that the true service lies. It is not for one who lives in the veiled condition, that is the lot of all who dwell in third density, to judge of the worth or the unworth of any effort made to serve. It is true that service as a requirement, as a need, as a calling does not come to an end, and therefore there is always more service that can be offered. One is never done or completed in one's calling to service. The effect that true service, truly offered, has is that it does empty out the whole of the being of the seeker little by little, so that that which is carried of an unnecessary nature in the end needs no longer to be carried. When you have given your all, when you have opened your heart in love without reservation, there is no more that could be asked of you, and it is not necessary to carry the heavy weight of judgment if in your perception the gifts you have had to offer have borne no fruit. That is something that is beyond your capacity to control. Your love may have effects far beyond their intended range of application. Your loves are always well spent just by being loves. And so the worthiness we would suggest to you that you seek lies not in the realization of the effects you have sought to achieve through your service and through your seeking, but rather in the nature of the service and the nature of the seeking themselves. Your worthiness does not depend on any reflection you might be given from the world concerning any excellence to which you may aspire. You discover your worthiness in opening your heart to service and opening your heart to love, and allowing that great cosmic energy, which is the gift to all who are incarnate, to flow through you, and doing so to find its destination where it will. Where it will be as wild and unpredictable as the wind. You may praise the wind, you may praise the mystery of the creation, and in that praise, which is also a prayer, you will find the whisper coming back to you that envelopes you with the sense that you may participate in the worthiness of the whole creation. It is your birthright. As we have said through the one known as Jim, the crown, indeed, is upon the head of the worthy seeker. Question. Thank you, Quo. The Confederation has had an evolving policy with regard to how to offer service to those of planet Earth. And it has been understood from the early years of this particular experiment that channeling was foremost among those means. At this present space-time, is the opinion of the Confederation the same with regards to channeling, and are there other equally efficacious means now available to the Confederation? I am Quo, and am aware of your query, my brother. We see the treasure of a contact such as this one as that which is most helpful not only in the information that we are able to transmit through the instruments such as those are here gathered, but because of the nature of this particular group and the organization, there is the possibility of disseminating this information around your globe through the means of the electronic transfer of information over your internet system. We see communication in whatever form is the most helpful means of aiding the population of your planet in its progression towards harvest. We feel that whether the information is channeled, is offered or whatever it comes from, if it is that which speaks of love and light contained within every being, if it speaks of the sharing of the quality of love and light with all others in order that the heart center might be opened, this is the information that is most helpful. There are also means of providing healing at this date, in your evolution being so near to the end of your third density. There are many, many more entities who have the ability to offer healing practices and to teach such to others so that the healing may not be only of the body, but of the mind and perhaps even of the spirit, and may serve as a kind of illustration or symbol to others of these qualities of love and light, for the true healer works with the one to be healed in a loving and compassionate fashion, and aids that entity to be healed in healing itself as the healer is able to offer its contact with intelligent infinity to interrupt the red-violet ray that holds the degree of ease or disease within the one to be healed. Any type of giving of love to another entity, in whatever form, be it spoken words, be it written words, be it healing, be it the smile on the street, whatever means of sharing love and light is possible, is that which we see as being most important at this time. There is no way of sharing love and light that is not important. It is the intention with which it is shared we find to be of greatest importance. We find that the intention here within this group is very pure and very powerful, and we take a great deal of pleasure in observing the light which emanates from this group. We are most grateful for your calling of us to be of service to you today. Question quo. Often when I access deep mind, and especially when I attempt to accept the contact such as today, I experience a great deal of anxiety. Can you speak to this? I am quo and am aware of your query, my brother. Yes, you are the runner before the race, and you are eager to do well, to run the straight race, to run the swift race, to reach the goal, to reach the finish line, to complete that which you have begun. In the beginning, these nervous energies, these jitters, shall we say, are noticeable because it is a new task which you are undertaking. Do not be overly concerned about them to begin with, for they will, in their own way, power you forward. They will, in their own way, focus your attention so that you are aware quite concretely and minutely of that which it is that you are doing, that which you wish to do. It will give you an enhanced awareness. Over time and practice, your experience will become so firmly established within you that those anxious energies will no longer find a place to function within you. For it will be, shall we say, an old hat to you. It will become comfortable to you. We move to a channeling delivered on June 25th, 1989. Concerns self-esteem or self-worth. There are a lot of people in the world who, on conscious reflection of their life patterns, do not feel they have produced enough worthwhile information, inspiration, or products or service, enough things to feel that they deserve to be on the planet alive and living. Now, do we, in the spiritual sense, look at ourselves and come away with a justified feeling of self-worth? In other words, how can you feel that you have a reason and a purpose and a value in your life? How do we measure such things spiritually? Carla Channeling says, I greet you in the love and the light of the one infinite Creator. I am known to you as Oxal. It is a privilege to be called to this group, as we have not been here for some time. This question, however, lies more, shall we say, within our area than most of your queries, and we thank you that you give us the opportunity to offer our service, humble though it may be. We share the information that we have, knowing that we do not know the whole story, and hoping and encouraging each to realize also that we do not know the whole story. Therefore, we ask you to take that which is of value to you and leave the rest behind, for we would not wish to mislead you or cause you to stumble on the spiritual path. This instrument asks the question to which she knows the answer so well that we are very surprised we must channel to this instrument. However, we find that in this instrument the pathways which lead to tolerance of self are blocked. Therefore, we will speak in general about this blockage and about how one may estimate spiritually one's progress towards self-esteem. Consider the cul-de-sac, the dead-end alley. This is what the entity which judges itself chooses. One runs into the end of oneself. The human self can never judge the human self, for that is an illusion, judging an illusion. And neither your consciousness nor your behavior are in any continuum, most normally, but that of space-time. Self-worth is a time-space activity and a tremendous inner discipline, and we would suggest none feel cocky or confident in any way, for each of you is at the beginning of a long refining process, as if you were crude oil and the distillation was to begin and continue until the finest of oil was made. In this density, you do the big muscle movement, shall we say, of the dance of creation. You choose your partner. Shall you choose a creator that is loving and giving? And shall you be loving and giving? Or shall you seek a creator that is self-serving and hungry for praise? And you yourself be self-serving and hungry for praise. This is your dimension. This is your choice. This is where you make the choice. You are in the right place. Each of you has made the choice, yet still each wonders about the spiritual excellence of the self. And each judges the self as the person would never judge another. The self is always hardest upon the self, for it is privy to its stream of consciousness and very aware of what this instrument would call the clay feet. Thus we would suggest that none upon your planet may feel self-esteem of any height, for each is barely beginning the refinement process. At the same time, you must realize that within each is the perfect creator self. Each of you has taken upon himself that creator self, has realized that the creator does lie within, that the answers do lie within, that the great question of who only has its answers in silence. And so each of you spends time seeking the truth, hoping for advancement, and probably judging yourself harshly for mistakes which you have made over things you have not done but could have. It would be simple to tell each simply to release the low self-esteem, to let it go, to loosen its bonds from the personality, and see it drift away. But it would not be apt, because those who are saddled with the lower opinion of themselves cannot let anything go. There is a tightness and a tension to the self-destructive attitude that is as heavy cord binding the thought form to the self. Attempts to change the thought or let it go mean nothing, for one is virtually tied to the concern and worry. This is to say that one cannot, in one's human self, remove oneself from one's self-esteem being low and instead produce a new self with good esteem, good self-worth, and a sense of normalcy. The capacity of the entity which you are at this time is finite. Consequently, each seeker must realize that it cannot, of itself, esteem itself, but can only esteem itself within the creator that is the true self. Now, this creator exists before it behaves, before it thinks, before it acts. The creation is made up of the creator's thought, the original thought of love that is within each. Now, each has the free will. In an immature entity, it is willful, and you are moved by the will as one may be moved by the tides or the wind. In others, willfulness has given way to willingness to work, to share, to love, to be a part of the good of creation. This is the basic struggle of third density, the taming of the free will, the discovery of true free will, which can be found only when one has decided completely and dedicated oneself utterly to one of the two paths and is following that path in a daily way. Now, we have explained to you why everyone should feel low self-esteem and why all should feel quite high in self-esteem. We've also indicated that the progress or maturity which one attains upon the spiritual path within this density has to do with the use of will. To will to do all things for the love of the Creator is not a very specific will. But when it is translated into practical ethics and workaday situations, one finds the Creator looking very odd sometimes. In the face of a strange woman or a peculiar man, someone who is attempting to get your attention, but who is irritating you. Or perhaps today the Christ appears in another way. Always there is that which may engage the self in selfless giving. Always there is the opportunity to be one who gives. Now, when one who is willing to give is not able to give all because of bodily distress, as we find this instrument's case to be, or because of any other reason for limitation, we do not find that the being of the self has changed at all, but rather that the attitude becomes self-destructive because the entity judges a self which no longer exists. And in some degree, this progress of less and less activity as one becomes older, of less and less ability to have energy to help with projects and so forth, is universal and not to be mourned, but to be investigated as any other situation. There are many useful things about a situation in which there is much time for contemplation and thought. There is the opportunity at all times to do whatever one is doing for the love of the one infinite Creator. In that adoration, in that worship lies the light of the consciousness of your planet. This is your basic work, and this is your basic worth. When you can bring into manifestation that which vibrates in service to others. The universe is happy with you, and those who receive the bounty that you give are happy with you. But if there is no production, if there is only being, and that beingness remains joy-filled and filled with thoughts of the one infinite creator, thoughts of love, thoughts of unity, thoughts of peace, the entity continues then to function fully as one whose work it is, whose mission it is, whose job it is, whose choice it is to serve others, to help lighten the planetary consciousness at this time with so many brothers and sisters which have also come from afar. We find among your people that low self-esteem runs rampant. There's a shocking effect of the speeding up of things occurring which is characteristic of a change into fourth density. There's the polarity of the evil, shall we say, or negative and good or positive, each showing more polarity. Of course, it is those of service to self-polarity which normally are considered newsworthy. But there are many, many, many more who are polarizing positively than negatively at this time. Why does each have low self-esteem? Few escape the difficulties. We gaze upon humanity and realize how deep the illusion is with you. You see yourselves as a rather pinkish-colored, two-footed creature with eyes so and mouth so and hair this and clothes that, and that is what you think of as you. We will tell you how we see you. We see energy fields. Some energy fields are radiant and beautiful. Some come together as yours and make a light that we cannot describe, for it is truly said, when two or three are gathered together, there is much universal power. We think perhaps there is no way to escape low self-esteem given the willfulness of the natural entity. Even the most disciplined entity will from time to time be unable to deal with the spiritual path because of exhaustion or confusion or anger or fear. But then we say to that person, remember, you're not alone. You have support. You may call us angels. You may call us UFO contactees. We do not care what you call those of the inner planes who wish to help. It is enough for you to know that you are never, never without comfort if you ask for it. And if you ask for it, you shall find it, a comfort that you cannot give yourself because you are limited, but a comfort that can be given to you because the nature of the Creator is love and compassion. If you're able in this incarnation to serve others more than half the time that you are doing something, you have succeeded. And we are not speaking of ritualized ways of aiding people such as the job and so forth, nor are we speaking as if one could not be of service to others in solitude. But it is the person whose will has been brought so into alignment with the desire of the Infinite One that those things which one has to face each day are faced realized for the lessons they are and assimilated. There is seldom going to be a perfect day, shall we say, for a human entity, because each entity has biases because of willfulness in past lives. One cannot explain these biases. One is merely aware that one has somewhere fallen short. Indeed, that is part of the human condition. Indeed, each has fallen short. This is an excellent lesson for each student of truth. All will fall short, all fail. No entity may find the kingdom of the Father by itself or with any ease. There must be dependence upon love, a realization, a brave willingness to realize that the Creator is real, that the Creator loves and forgives and has forgiven all that is misdone, that the Creator has no low self-esteem, but rather work for you to do. Thus it is that one who would remove this self-esteem look to service to others, move into those places where something needs to be done, and help with a glad and merry heart, a song upon the lips and a smile upon the face. Each day, it is possible for that to be the day in one's own mind. If one meditates and centers oneself during the day, it is often possible to find a rather blissful rhythm to a period of daylight and a period of darkness. We hope we have not confused by looking at the problem of low self-esteem from several viewpoints of view, but we simply wish to point out there is not a simple question, and spiritually one cannot measure oneself. One can only attempt to improve the use of the will, that it may desire the desire of the Creator. For the Creator has things for each entity to offer today in love and in light, as a flower its bloom, as a tree its leaves, as a house its shelter. Each of you moves through each day purposefully. You know not why. The purpose will be unknown to you until the moment it is revealed. It is the centered and canny watcher and observer that spots the opportunity for love, that finds the place to give a smile of hello or a welcome handshake or a cheery word or a pat on the back. It takes a will to serve others to bear the questions in between the lines of the questions entities ask you, that you may minister unto them according to the knowledge that is within you. All of these things are what should occupy the mind. The judgment of the self, we need not say, is inappropriate to this illusion from within this illusion, for those within the illusion cannot even see that they are energy fields with consciousness. Each thinks each is solid and pink and two-legged. We ask you how much more distorted a picture of the self could one receive? Yet, that is how you perceive and are perceived. Consequently, never judge the self, but each day groom the will to desire, to seek the love and the light of the one infinite Creator. And then, if there is aught to do for the Creator that lies before you, do it with a glad and merry heart and singleness of vision, for only one reason, for love, and that is your salvation. We speak to you thusly not to keep you from being humble. We simply wish to allow you to see things as we see them. And indeed, there is a glory to third density from those who have chosen to discipline their will to that will which is called divine will. May that be your goal in each day, and may you each cease thinking about the self to the extent that low self-esteem even enters the mind. The mind needs to be concerned with how others are doing, what may be needed, and so forth. Question: in the raw material, some people are spoken of as coming from outside the solar system, coming from Deneb. Do they have a different set of archetypes? Do they have an archetypal mind that is different from the archetypical mind of this particular star system? I am Oxal, and we consider your query, my sister. Those whose origin is of the Deneb system, as those whose origin is from any system outside of your own, will of necessity bring with them the archetypical resonances of their own system, which is enough different from your own that there is of necessity a blending of certain facets or features within the deep mind, so that there might be the continuation of the spiritual journey that calls upon these deep resonances in a harmonious fashion. Thus, all those who have joined your third density experience from those solar systems outside of your own add to the richness of your own archetypical system, which may be seen as a kind of blueprint or structure of evolution that provides resources for the enhancing of the use of catalysts within your illusion. There may be some confusion for those who pursue the study of the archetypical mind in a specific and quite conscious sense when attempting to grasp qualities that may seem alien. However, when most of your entities engage themselves in the study of this portion of the deep mind, there is that quality of awe and wonder that easily accepts that which seems foreign within the realm of the personal experience in order that it might enrich that experience. For when the deep mind is explored in a conscious fashion, there is always the feeling that this is not only holy ground, but ground which the self in its smaller sense is walking for the first time. Therefore, the addition's exterior, shall we say, archetypical influences offers less of a difficulty than it offers greater richness. Moving to a channeling on February 5th of 2011, Jim asks, the question this evening has to do with self-confidence. Would you give us some information, Quo, on how we can enhance or strengthen our self-confidence without becoming overly prideful? And then could you relate this self-confidence that we use in our daily activities to the faith that is really the basis for our metaphysical journey? Carla, who is channeling, says, we are known to you as the principle of Quo. As we soak up the beauty of your blended vibrations, dear ones, we rest in the awareness that each of you is quite special. And we mean that in the inner sense. For you are widely dispersed throughout stations of life and so forth. But that which you have in common is an uncommon degree of awareness that you are working to uncover the you that you dearly wish to come to know better, the true self that each of you is. Perhaps the beginning of self-confidence is to know that there is only one of you in all creation. You have developed the soul stream of which you as a personality are a part through many incarnations. Your gifts and your challenges are unique. Your responses to them are equally unique. And as each of you is a part of the creative principle, you are the creator of your universe, the environment in which you live and think, the environment in which you act. You have colored your vibration and your frequency with the colors of your personality. Some of you flash, some of you are more quiet, yet in each case, we see the core, the essence, and we see that you have given yourself every possible encouragement to seek the truth. This is an unusually active group of seekers, and we are privileged to be among you. Know that you are vitally important. Perhaps this is the very beginning of self-confidence, to know that you are necessary. As we said, there is only one of you, so it is in your hands, in your mind, in your thoughts, in your intentions, your hopes and dreams, that the Creator has a conduit into your outer manifestation of reality. You shine a light no one else can because of the colors of your personality, because of your challenges and your gifts. And to each who shines a beacon, there shall be drawn those who are sensitive to that particular light, so that entities come into your life because you speak to them. You shine for them. It is not, and we would never say this, my friends, that you have some power that is divorced from the energy of love, but rather that all dwell in this energy of love, yet each expresses it in a unique way. We found it interesting that there were concerns within the circle as this question was being created, that it might be difficult to be self-confident without being prideful and overweening. Certainly, each can bring to mind examples of those whose pride is greater than the apparent usefulness of that which causes that entity to be proud. When you contemplate those conditions which cause you to become concerned about the self, it is useful to consider what the self actually is. For there are many attributes of every self which are in reality a construction made largely of illusions. In many cases, a self is constructed of figments of ideals or stray expectations that an individual has drawn to him or herself from various sources. One hears voices of the parents, voices of one's teachers, voices of one's friends, voices of people one has never met but whom one may idealize in some way, and feels judged by those voices. One measures oneself against an ideal in relation to which one is found wanting, and as one contemplates this circumstance, one finds that it becomes more and more hopeless that one could ever measure up to the expectations one has built up around oneself. One is one large failed performance. In this condition, it is easy to have one's energies wither and recoil. It is easy to feel a loss of connection with those around you. It is easy to feel a loss of connection with the sustaining energy of all that is. And one is utterly alone, thrown back upon resources one can hardly believe. One has to accomplish things of which one is no longer sure, and one has fallen into a condition of being utterly without confidence and without much expectation of living up to the self or the image of self one would like to be. My friends, this is a weighty burden that you need to bear. To be a self is intrinsically no more burdensome than to be a feather borne on the wind, a leaf in the forest, a song in the air. If one allows the self to blossom, if one allows love to express itself through you, you will find that it is not so important what particular shape your gift to the world will take. It is not so important what particular result shall come about in this or that occasion. It is not so important how others receive the gifts you have to offer, for everything is always acceptable. Everything is an opportunity for you and those with whom you are engaged to learn to allow love to find new avenues of expression. And if you do not hold tight in your grip a rigid expectation of the form your experience shall take, you will find that you will have more opportunity to experience the new, the unexpected. Now, this is not to say that there will not be surprises. This is not to say that there will not be pains of disappointment or hurt taken. But in an atmosphere to which you may contribute, an atmosphere of love, hurts taken may be more readily healed. Surprises may be more delightfully received and more clearly shared. And so we would say to you that concern which can harden and draw back upon itself, that concern about the sense of unworthiness that is so common among your peoples, the concern that bears harsh judgment against the self, that puts the self on notice, that great expectations are brought to it, and it must perform all of these factors which decrease your confidence. All of these are factors which foreshorten your ability to reach out in love to those with whom you would exchange your gifts. The very greatest gift you have to give is something which you must always remain nameless. It is merely the energy that passes through you. It is merely the love that has found its way into you and would find its way out again. It is not something which you can ever own, and therefore it is not something which you can ever do badly. so long as you keep your eye upon your highest and best effort to serve. The effort that you do make will be well received, and you need have no worry about whether you are worthy. We would stress again that each of you has a uniqueness that is adornment to the very creation. You're able to introduce an energy that is, in a way, an energy that you receive in a way that no other may do. This is your gift. This is what you bring to the table of mutual sharing. Thus, you need never have any concern that it should be inadequate. When this concern is released, that which you call your confidence will grow. Tonight you have asked about confidence, pride, and faith. We would say that you have almost unknowingly dug deeper into this cavern of truth than you could realize, and that the establishing difference between pride and confidence is faith. Both pride and confidence stem from a degree of self-awareness, an awakening of the self in realizing that one's actions have effect on the world. Tonight, this instrument has undergone a teaching exercise, and that when she channels, she usually begins receiving concepts in her mind before the circle even begins and she has finished tuning. Tonight, there were no concepts. The blankness of the mind remained, and this instrument was faced with a choice. She could have panicked over the thought of having nothing to say. She could have looked to her skills as a channel and all of the power that she possesses and looked to guide her through, using her will and intellect to carry herself forth. What the instrument chose to do was to stare into the white nothingness in her mind and say, I have faith that all will be as it should be, that I am capable of holding this channel, and that all I need will be provided. Pride is the emotion which occurs when one comes to one's self-awareness out of fear. Pride is looking entirely to one's own basic capabilities, feeling that this individualized self is separate from everyone else, and that what makes one different is what puts one on a level of superior functioning to do a better job. Confidence uses the channel of faith to respond in love. With faith, one realizes there are no mistakes, that there is a lesson to be learned from every action, and that therefore the fear of falling behind the crowd, of being seen as inferior, is able to be released. When people have confidence in faith and love, they do not fear what others will think of them. They do not fear what bad things may befall, any mistakes they may make, because they realize that all is love, and that no matter what should happen or what anyone may think or say, all will be well. Opportunities for learning will be provided from anything that goes awry. It is through faith that you may release the fear that keeps you from having self-confidence. With pride, there is a degree of hurt, the need to shield the self. When this instrument was a child, her behaviors were deemed as odd by many of her peers, and she was told on a frequent basis by fellow children and adults alike that she was crazy. This hurt so badly she became angry at them for being so cruel and not understanding. And out of this anger she came to see herself as superior to everyone else, since she was not acting in such cruel and understanding ways. This is a time in this instrument's life when she fell into a particular vein of pride which you speak. However, as this instrument has come to see all as being worthy of love, there is no longer a need to hold on to that hurt and disdain and misunderstanding, for it all simply dissolves into love. With love, all things are possible. As the one known as Jesus said, if you but have faith like a mustard seed, you may move mountains. Those who draw their self-image from faith and love do not realize the existence of walls and barriers. Every wall is but a stepping stone to another opportunity. When one has experienced the feelings of confidence in the self and wishes to go forward in service to others, fueled by this confidence and by the desire to be truly of service, at some point in this experience, the entity may become concerned that the growth of pride may usurp, shall we say, some of the sparkle from the joy of serving. It is the conscientious seeker of truth that guards the self from such experiences of the overweening pride by remembering that all is indeed one, and that the individual self that the seeker is not alone responsible for the energies of love and light which move through his being. Each seeker is a vessel, a channel, a conduit, an instrument which may be utilized by the creative power of love, the Logos, the Creator, shall we say. When the individualized seeker becomes so impressed with its own service, feeling itself to be source of such, then there are indeed the hallmarks of pride. As each remembers that the one Creator's love and light moves all that there is, then the self is seen in perspective as equal to, yet no better than any other. Then pride falls away. Each of you is most desirous. We are aware of being of service to others in those ways which have been given to you, and which you have, through your own effort, discovered in your pattern of this incarnation. We applaud your great desire to be of service, and yet your caution that your service be pure. We can assure you, my friends, that you will be tempted to puff up the self, and with that which you call pride. This is yet another experience which may teach, and which is a reminder to the cautious and selfless seeker that the steps may be placed carefully, consciously, and with the intention to serve. What more can you do, my friends, than to give that effort which is the best that you have? Each so gives. To be proud is part of the 360-degree circle of being that which you possess. If all is one, my friends, are you not all things? Are you not all emotions and feelings? To experience pride is to experience being human. Your situation of being a human being on planet Earth in third density is an incredible gift and a great challenge. It is an incredible gift because you hold that unique position in two worlds: the inner world of concept and consciousness, and the outer world of thought and words and mind. You have the capacity and the mission of bringing into a limited and finite experience in your everyday world the aura of the infinite, the essence of the eternal, the power of a new paradigm. As you allow the love and the light of the infinite Creator to flow through you into your open heart, and with your blessing out into the world around you, you fulfill your greatest service and create for yourself the arena for your most substantial learning. To be proud of that can be perceived to be an error, yet when a season of pride is upon you, we do not call it a mistake. We call it a distraction, for it is only those with limited views that measure success and failure by what they have manifested. Eventually, as you persist in seeking the heart of truth, it will become more and more clear to you that pridefulness has no resources to give you, and you will not find it so irresistible. You will see more and more that for every trick that you can do, there is another trick that you cannot. And you will see that the other self that can do that trick and you together are collaborators in creating the dance of oneness in which all have a just part. This instrument has a phrase in her mind which is to get over the self. Get over yourself, she will say to herself. And it is well to get over oneself, because focus on the self is a distraction. Like many others, in fact, we would suggest to you, my friends, that a lack of self-confidence, a feeling of self-worth, is a distraction. You did not come here simply to be distracted. There is that in you that craves and hungers for the accomplishment of the service you came to offer. Let your trust be in that hunger and that thirst. You cannot be better than anyone else or less worthy than anyone else because you are unique. You have no one to whom to compare yourself. You stand not alone, but in a rich tapestry of color, texture, and movement. The color of your ideas, the texture of your emotions, the energy of your skills and challenges. You entered incarnation in this place at this time, both to learn and to serve. You shall learn and you shall serve. This is not an issue between us. You cannot help but learn. Evolution is an inevitable thing. Your choice is to accelerate the pace of your evolution or to allow it to wheel on without thought. When the temptation comes upon you, my friends, to feel unworthy, remember the saying that this instrument has heard. Trust in Allah, tie up your camel. Have faith that you came into this incarnation with a plan for service and that it is worthy. It may be that your service is simply to be a channel for the love and the light of the Infinite One. It may be there's some outer portion to that service, something that manifests in everyday life. There are as many kinds of service as there are unique beings in our incarnation. Consequently, when you decide that you wish to take up a service that has an outer manifestation as part of it, do not take it up with one eye on the service and one eye on your own performance. Take it up and do not look at yourself with judging eyes. Neither look at yourself with an applauding gaze. Look at your service, and each day as you rise, set your intention anew to be of service. and then enter into that which needs to be done with everything you have. If you hear a voice that says you will fail, identify it. It is not you. It is not your higher self. It is most likely one or both of your parents or that panoply of other characters that littered your childhood so richly. Do your homework. If there are logical arrangements to be made, see to them. Use your intellect. Use your powers of analysis and deduction. Let that workhorse, your mind, do its job. But do not let it judge you, for you are about the Creator's business. Persist not judging yourself, not patting yourself on the back, but remaining focused on your service. And let all of the love that is flowing through you surround that hope of service. Above all, my friends, remember that in the metaphysical sense, manifestation barely registers on the instruments that measure spiritual service as you keep your heart open and every nerve keyed to do that service, to be that service that you hope to do and to be. That focus, that clarity of intent is everything. The world may judge you to be a success. It may judge you to be a failure. You know that you are simply attempting to be of service this moment and every moment. Take heart, my friends. One's perception of life tends to be somewhat of a muddle. One's actual received experience, on the other hand, is a marvel of assimilation and integration, catalyst turned into wisdom, suffering turned into love. Question, Quo, I was wondering if someone sends you a picture in their mind, can you see it? We are those of Quo and are aware of your query, my sister. My sister, we are used to the way of communication that this instrument has come to call concept communication. Given that an entity is capable of seeing clearly and offering that vision to share, we are able to see that which is seen by other self. May we answer you further? No, thank you. We thank you, my sister. We have exhausted the queries in this circle at this time. We do take our leave of this instrument and this group, leaving each in the love and in the light of the one infinite Creator. Adonai, my friends, we are known to you as the principle of Quo. So this is some very robust and powerful discussion of self-worth. We get the idea that there's nothing you can really do about self-worth, which is basically saying it's not something to worry about. But the most important running line through all of these channelings is that if you move to service, if you start to think about other people first, if you start to think of how you can be of service, how you can provide love to others, then your self-worth doesn't really matter that much and it's not important. And all the things that you view of yourself will fade away as you start to move towards love. Love is the most powerful thing. It dissolves all barriers. It dissolves all thoughts that work against you. So think about service if you are struggling with your self-worth. And in my own case, as I started to think of ways I could help others, to be helpful to others, it improved my self-confidence. It ends up happening naturally. Just move outside of yourself. The longer you sit and dwell upon yourself and your flaws and the things about you that you don't like, the harder it is. We all have flaws. We all look in the mirror and we think we're ugly. We think we're overweight. We don't like our eyes. We don't like our lips. We don't like our nose. We remember all the things that people say about us. All those things drift in our minds and we think that we are nothing. It's not true. As we're reminded here, you are the Creator. There is only one of us, and we are amazing. It's easy to forget that. It's easy to get caught up in the little illusory things that you have going on in your life now, and to project them and make yourself feel small, but you're huge, you're gigantic. You're not your body, you're an energy field, and you are beautiful and wonderful and amazing. That may not change your self-worth, but those are not empty words. They are the truth. I hope this helps. I hope you realize how amazing you are. In any case, all episodes of The Reality Revolution can be found at therealityrevolution.com. I'm sending light. I'm sending love to everybody. And welcome to The Reality Revolution.